Welcome to Just a Tip with Jake and Timmy. What's going on, everyone? Jake here with Uncommon EDC.
And I am Timmy from Tim's School of Fish.
Thanks for joining us for episode, 16 of Just a Tip. We've got a special guest today, Jacob Peterson of Exodus Knife and Tool. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going?
It's going good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
so let's just shout out.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, let's shout out some folks in the chat. I see a lot of regulars here. Anna So, Jeff Jackson, Joseph S, Kathleen, Oh Father, Timmy EDC, Radio Geek Blade, Skibby. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Yep, and our usual shout out to the moderators. I'm not sure if I've seen any of them yet, but we've got Bluminati Ninja, Randy's WSG, and Cheeto Bandito. Huge shout out to them. Check their channels out if you haven't. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So, know you from your YouTube channel, know you from Exodus Knife and Tool. For those that don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about how Exodus got started, your first model, maybe even show off some of those models?
Yeah, man. Well, it's kind of wild. It's been a long trip. I think it started back in like 2015 with my YouTube channel, which is mostly reviewing knives. And I think a natural progression from that was to want to become involved. And so I actually had a couple other knife brands that failed for one reason or another early on, especially before I knew a lot of other stuff. I co-owned a Nepalese kukri house. That was kind of wild. And I did some other stuff and got involved in the custom makers in the US. But, Exodus started in about, 2018, I think it was. Maybe it was 19. And the crazy thing is it kind of started almost as a, what's up? It actually kind of started as was fueled by a side project. So I had this design that I had done with Ross at Dry Creek Forge that I now call the Adventure Craft. And I had designed a series of Puko knives, and this was the smallest of the series. And there was a lot of reasons for that. But everybody said, like, never make that. Like, that's a dumb knife. Like, my wife was like, no, that's silly, right? But I really wanted a knife with OD green handle scales and orange G10 bolsters, and I couldn't find one anywhere. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have somebody custom make a knife like this for me. And I had it made in my Adventure Craft, and everybody loved it. And I was like, I guess it's time to just do this again. And so it just kind of built on itself from there. It's been kind of crazy.
Right. And those from the get-go, were those being made with White Mountain Knives?
So originally, these were made by Mineral Mountain Hatchet Works. They're in Arkansas. They make knives from start to finish by hand. Really good guys over there. I had a big pre-order. I think my second or third pre-order in with them. I had a lot of money out. I had a lot of orders. And they actually messaged me after I was already late on the pre-order. And they're like, hey, we just had 2 machines go down, and my brother who co-owns the business died. And we're not going to make knives anymore. And so I had to scramble. I guess what happened, they hand make all their knives. They specialize in big knives. And while they were trying to grind these quickly, if it rolled in their hands or something on the grinder, they'd ruin it. And there wasn't enough height in the blade to fix something like that. So they'd have to throw it in the trash. They said they ruined as many of them as they made. And so I reached out to basically every manufacturer in the U.S. I mean, if you can think of somebody, I probably reached out to them, except for White River. I had just given White River Manufacturer of the year before, and I didn't think I was going to rate a manufacturer like that. But I knew Jason Teets. He designed the Firecraft line of knives with White River, and he does a lot of EDC stuff and custom knives himself as well. Really cool guy. And he was like, yeah, dude, just send him an email. And they liked what I was doing. Not only did were they excited to work with me? They offered me the best quote of any brand in the country, which blew my mind. And
Wow.
we've just been rocking and rolling since.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been wild.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, I think, with the progression from a YouTube channel to designing knives.
Yeah, we've talked about that previously about how so we feature design makers here on the show, and one of the things that always comes up is a lot of designers, especially more so than makers, they start as knife reviewers with knife channels, and then, as you know, Jacob, we handle so many knives as reviewers. You kind of start to know what you like, what you don't like, and then I think it's probably a natural evolution to say, you know what, I can design a knife. I know I've thought about it and I've put some sketches on paper and they look like complete shit. And so I gave up on that pretty quickly.
Right.
I have this idea in my head, but it doesn't translate to paper. When you're designing a knife, how does it start? Does it start with an idea and then become a sketch, or do you go straight to AutoCAD? How's your design process look?
For me, it's very much pencil and paper when starting out, but it always has started out with a need or a
Yeah.
deficiency somewhere else. So, the Adventure Craft, I don't know of any other company really that was making a blade that was only a half of an inch tall.
Yeah.
It's 3 ounces. It's super easy to carry every day, but I split wood with it. I baton with my knives constantly and do feather sticks and bushcraft stuff, which everybody's saying you couldn't do with a knife this small. So I wanted this. Now there's the cold steel spike, which maybe is a little bit similar. I had some experience with that way back when I was in the military. But just the knives, that the bird and trout knives and things like the cold steel spike, they weren't really practical to use for bushcraft in my experience. So I saw a gap, and I also saw in the bushcraft community, which is where I don't even want to say which is where I get most of my stuff, but everybody had all these rules for your knives, right? When I was
Yeah.
getting into this, they're like, oh, you can't baton, don't pry, which I'm not saying to pry, but you can't baton, you can't pry, don't when you're using your knife, don't carve in at an angle. It's going to put too much torsional force on the edge and you'll half moon chip it out. I'm like, if we've got all these rules and these things are so doggone fragile, why don't we make it 1/4 the size and save the weight? And that was part of it originally. But so it definitely starts out with a need for me. I don't necessarily look at the market and think, oh, I could sell this. I look at the market and think the market needs this. And the problem is, because I look at it that way, now I have to market something new and I have to do twice the work.
Yeah.
But so then it goes to pen and paper. And from pen and paper, I've been all over the place. I've done a little bit of CAD stuff, but I'm not too good at it. I've paid different people to do CAD stuff. I've gone from paper to multiple iterations of real knives, solid products and stuff like that. So I kind of play every card fast and loose, and it's never the same twice. Like, I see something that I want to do and I just start finding ways to do it, which usually ends in 20 failures to one success. But
right.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
And that adventure craft, overall length on that's about 7 inches, and then around a half-inch thick.
7 inches, half-inch tall, just over 1/4 inch thick, and just about 3 ounces. Your G10 is going to be a little bit heavier than your micarta or your Taro Tough or these custom scales I have on here, the Builder Brick scales, but more or less around 3 ounces. And then they come with a Kydex sheath, and I prefer to carry mine with an Ulti clip. Now the Kydex sheath here, is intended to be versatile first and foremost, because everybody's got a different favorite way of carrying. So I carry mine with an ulti clip, and for me, this is a front pocket knife.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah, I like how minimal that sheath looks.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to it, and it comes with an IWB loop like this, and a lot of people love this carry, and it is very secure. Some people put a second loop on here. I've got leather backers that you can use like a belt loop if you want to. I guess you probably could put like a Blade Tech tech lock on it. I think it would be too big and bulky, but someone out there likes it. They can do it. That was important.
Yeah, for sure. And that. Oh, sorry, Tim. I was gonna say that Lego version. That one's still in stock now, right? Just dropped over the weekend, and
it is now. I can't say Lego.
Yeah, that's trade.
They'll try and take my house from me, but Builder's Brick. This first run of the Builder Brick edition, the Cerakote that's on it actually sparkles, so it's gonna be hard to show down here. But the sparkle effect is kind of wild. That's only on the first couple. But this has been such a fun project. I love this so much that this will be coming back. It'll be coming back without the sparkles. Maybe I'll do a few different colors for different iterations or something. But the Building Brick edition, Adventure Craft or Brick Craft, I'll call it, it isn't going anywhere permanently. Awesome. For sure.
So Ace on Knives, one of our guys, Dick Ritchie, wants to know if it comes with the ulti clip. I think that's probably an added purchase that you have to make, right?
Yeah, so it comes with the IWB loop, and this is a pull-a-dot fastener, so only releases if you pull it one way, super secure. That's how the knives come. Now, I did just like last week become an ulti clip dealer. So I do have the Slim 2.2 in stock, and I would say probably about half of my customers go ahead and grab one when they grab the knife.
Nice.
Yeah. So the Jackalope is a little bit bigger than the Adventure Craft, but it's still a very manageable size. What would you say is your preferred size for everyday carry, and your preferred size for how would I say it, an everyday carry bushcraft knife?
Right. So it's about a balance, and I think that the difference that you hit there is perfect between an everyday carry and an everyday bushcraft. The Adventure Craft is comfortable to use. A lot of my customers say that when it comes to bushcraft or anything that they do, skinning or anything else, the Adventure Craft becomes almost the knife that they go to for all of it. Now, if you're doing high pressure work, bushcrafting stuff, long-term carving and stuff, if you go a little bit bigger, it's going to be more comfortable. I mean, that's just mechanics, but as you go a little bigger, it's a little bit potentially less comfortable to everyday carry, or you have to be wearing the right clothes. So I everyday carry a Jackalope often. This is a brand new one, but I carry one often the same way on an ulti clip in my front pocket quite often. But I have certain clothes like these Duluth dry on the fly shorts that are kind of stretchy and really thin.
Yeah.
And it'll flop around in those. It's really irritating. So I don't carry it in those, and I'll go with the Adventure Craft. So the Adventure Craft is by far more popular, but it's it's just a balance thing. One's balanced a little more towards everyday carry comfort, one's balanced a little more towards use comfort. I see someone was asking me about heat treat process.
Yeah, go ahead if you want to address that.
For me, our heat treat is done by Peter's Heat Treat. So I am not heat treating these in-house, and we're hitting 58 to 60. I've got guys out there doing things they should not be doing with a knife this small, and I myself probably am as well. I have a no questions asked lifetime guarantee. So one of my friends, I might actually have it handy here. He had, a lot of my guys are carrying these in tactical classes and carbine classes and small unit operations. I've got guys carrying these SOCOM guys overseas and stuff. He had a Surefire weapons light that was red Loctited on the bolt, and he tried taking the tip and getting that bolt off and snapped the tip off. The knives are not indestructible. I break them on my YouTube channel not to brag about how tough they are, but to give people an accurate idea of their limitations, because if you know a knife's limitations, you'll feel more comfortable in using it below its limitations, right? But that's why we go for 58 to 60. If I was the EDC, and we're at behind edge thickness of about 22 thou and about 20 degrees per side. So it's fairly conservative. It's a lot thinner than a lot of your mainstream brands. It's not as thin as a lot of your custom knives. Like I've got a Queely Mako that's 12 thou behind the edge. It's almost 0 ground. It's amazing. I can't get away with that. A big portion of my customers are only EDC guys, but a big portion are hard use survival and bushcraft. So there's not an ideal, in my opinion, heat treat range for S35VN. There is the best heat treat range for what you are doing. And if I was going to go with a 15 thou behind the edge knife that was EDC specific, I would probably run between 60 and 62, maybe as far as 61 to 63.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great answer. Also, a huge shout out to B for Baron. Thank you so much. We appreciate you every week. And Dick asked if do you have the orange coated jackalope on hand by chance?
I do. Where do I have it? Up here. Do I have one closer? Let me grab it. Wait, nope. Yeah, so I have a Hidden Woodsman collab that I did. Excuse me. I did this collab just the week before I did the Brickcraft collab. And so I don't have any of the OD green handled ones left. But I do have the natural burlap, which I thought was weird because I like the orange and natural burlap way better. But currently, this is how the knives are packed up in a wood box. That's not how we're going to do it long term. I'm actually downgrading to an envelope that I hand stamp with my logo. These featured a Nemesis camo Kydex sheath. This is a new camo pattern that is really, really cool that Malcolm at the Hidden Woodsman is using as well. And they're really cool guys too. And then it's an orange blade with the Hidden Woodsman logo on the blade. This is a limited once a year run of 50 knives and then natural burlap.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's sharp. So are all of them in S35VN so far?
So far. Right now I'm working on diversifying. So I want to have a standard option of A2 for the Adventurecraft and Jackalope. The Mutant is going to be specifically A2 from the onset. I'm hoping to get prices down a little bit on that. I think that my prices are already competitive, but I want non-knife people to be able to experience a premium knife and get one of my blades. So I'm constantly working on price. Honestly, it's hard.
Yeah,
but A2 will be a standard option. I have a few knives. I'm doing a very limited drop in 1V, and I'm really excited about that. And at Blade Show, I'll have Adventurecraft. I'll have an Adventurecraft I'm giving away in Baker Forge billet standby with an ADC RV2 core and wrought iron forged from a ship's chain.
Nice.
And so I'll have one of those for sale at least, and one's going to be given away at Blade Show. So, as a knife nerd, I'm a big believer in edge geometry. Like for me, behind the edge thickness before steel type every time being appropriate for the job at hand. But being a big knife nerd at the same time, like I love the skills. I think it's a ton of fun. I love the finishes. I love the options. And so that billet of Sanmai that I got was a very limited deal. I think they have it every once in a while, but it was kind of hard for me to get in the thickness that I needed, and I jumped on it when I saw it pop up. But and those are going to have, I think, scales from Under the Bridge Scale Company, segmented scales, desert ironwood, and like a black African ebony wood with like white G10 spacers and liners.
Nice.
The knife that I'm giving away is probably going, when all is said and done, is probably going to have cost me $200 to $250. So someone's going to be really lucky with that thing. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That sounds sweet.
And while we were talking about blade steels, I think you mentioned the Mutant. For those that don't know, third model.
Yeah, third model, really exciting. Finally back. The Mutant was a literal mutation. So with White River Knife and Tool, when we were first doing the Jackalope, they were like, "Hey, Jake, were these supposed to be this size?" And they had accidentally bumped the size up 25%. And so we finished them out, and I love them. They sold amazing. Everybody loves them. I still get messages asking for Mutants all the time. So it was an actual oopsie, but we were doing a few tweaks to this design, which again is based on the Jackalope, but it's 25% larger. It has a fuller in the blade. It has a swedge. It has more guard at the front and at the pommel. And I'm so excited about it. Like,
yeah, it looks cool.
Over the top.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be a little bit more combat oriented. It's certainly not a fighting knife, but it's starting to get to the realm where it could be a combat knife. And it's going to be 1,000% practical as a bushcraft knife. And I will certainly have people EDCing it as well.
That's awesome.
So full flat grind on all three of them, correct?
So the Mutant is actually not a full flat grind. It's a high saber grind. So you're going to get the same edge geometry as you get with the Jackalope. Basically the same grind height, the same behind the edge thickness, exact same performance when it comes to the grind, but you're going to get a fuller and a high saber. But yes, the Jackalope and the Adventure Craft are full flat.
So I prefer, I'm not a bushcraft guy like you are. I'll be the first to admit it, but I do prefer the versatility of a flat grind. I know that there's, or at least I think that there's a large contingency of people in the bushcraft community that swear by a Scandi grind. Give us your thoughts on that, the difference between flat grind and Scandi grind for bushcrafting and for EDC.
For sure. So I definitely slot more into the bushcraft, genre. I go to Georgia Bushcraft and I just feel like I'm surrounded by my people.
Right.
And it's great. However, I've made it for myself some separation from the bushcraft community. And that's why I went with the term adventure craft, because for me, bushcraft should be a skill set that is used on an adventure. It should not be the point of the adventure. It should be something you do along the way. And so when it comes to bushcraft, the Scandi grind is something that I do not love. I have Scandi grinds that I do really like, but that zero ground edge, the slicing performance is there for shallow cutting for curls and stuff like that, but the edge stability is not there. And so I would rather have a micro bevel to get the extra toughness on a thin edge so I can still have the slicing and I can have the best of both worlds. I don't prefer Scandi grind for anything. But I
Yeah.
do love a good Scandi ground knife, and I will admit just as fast as anybody that a good Scandi ground knife is a joy to use when carving wood.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Got
Jake.
another.
Based on knife, might have asked me about a more bulky design.
Right.
Yeah,
And they're pretty
bigger, I
thick,
guess.
right? They're maybe a little bit thicker than he's imagining.
The adventure crafts might be a little thicker than he's imagining. Now, being 22 thou behind the edge for the bushcraft guys, they would still say that these slice well. However, for EDC guys who might be used to something like that Creeley, they might think that this knife is a little bit chunky, so just over 1/8 of an inch thick. But when it does come to a bulk knife, Scab at Choir Boys Outdoors just did a review on a collaboration. It's actually the first knife I ever brought to market, was called the Workhorse. And I did a limited run of those with Bear Forest knives. I had him make them for me. We did 20 of them, and they're 0.391 at the spine. So they're closer to 1/2 of an inch thick than 1/4 of an inch. And that was a really fun project. That is something that I will likely put up for pre-order when people want to do it. When you get into those kind of crazy thicknesses, costs go up exponentially. So there's no chance at it ever being affordable. People that are like, I have a sickness for the thickness, it is what's up. You know, like you hold it next to a Trailmaster and the Trailmaster looks puny. So so yeah, I get a little bit wild. I actually used to be known for my Super Kook, a kookery. I had a lot of Nepalese influence from when I was owning a Nepalese kookery house. And I'm also working on a collab for that as well. I do intend fully to work up into larger size production and custom collaboration knives. But I've just got to hit one thing at a time. Every knife has a big price tag on it for me that I don't feel right passing on to the customer. And so it gets hard. My wife will give birth any day here or any moment here. The AC just went out. Stuff like that happens. And sometimes my future projects, get the brakes hit on them. It's just the way it's been working, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately. Do you have outside of the mutant, what your kind of next vision is already in the sights, or are you kind of focused on that project for now?
No, the mutant is like done. I've got some small details to touch up, but like I can, I've got blanks. Those are going to be ground soon. The hard stuff's behind me. The next one is a knife that I've been working on since before Exodus Knife and Tool was manufactured by White River. Hey, go upstairs and shut the door right now, Ben. The Legionnaire. I was actually ironically watching a show on Netflix called The Siege of Jardensville.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Australian guys or something.
Yeah, exactly. Irish. And then the bad guy, the French Foreign Legion guy who was training and carousing the local nationals, had what I recognized as a World War I bayonet, I believe in 1903, but it was short. I was like, what the heck is that? I started doing research. There's not a lot of info about it out there. But as it turns out, France bought World War I bayonets from America and Great Britain by the trainload, chopped them down short, gave them to their guys as combat knives, and they were continually in use past the year 2000. And I was like, this might be the most prolifically used combat knife in modern history, and nobody knows about it, and there's almost nothing on it. So I am working on that project. I've got some really sick stuff coming up for that. It is a combat knife, but it will be practical. It will not have a silly thick edge. It will be able to go out in the woods and do anything that a dude wants to do. But it will be a purebred combat knife, rounded spine. I'm even trying to work on the original ones, came in a green metal sheath that had kind of a long triangle shape. We might actually be doing a solid micarta sheath with a push button to release the knife.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's an expensive project, which is why it hasn't happened. It was supposed to happen like 2 years ago, but I'm thinking we're gonna get close here pretty soon.
Yeah. So I know on your channel you feature primarily, at least from what I've seen, fixed blade knives. Do you carry and use any folders or slip joints? And have you, I know there's a lot going on, but have you ever that you would like to make a folder or a slip joint?
So the closest thing to a slip joint, I have two slip joints right now. I have a Buck. I did a review comparing the same model of Buck. I think it's the 804, but I'm not, don't quote me on that. But it's the same model of Buck made in America and made in China. And as much as I wanted in that video to be like, yeah, this Chinese Buck is trash, it wasn't. It's a
Not so much. Yeah.
usable, pretty good knife. I mean, it's not a beautiful finish and stuff on neither of them is good, but they're very usable, and I couldn't tell any difference between the two in practical performance or edge holding or anything. But I'm not a big slip joint guy. I have a lock back that's similar to in shape and in features to a slip joint from Old Hound Knives that I love.
Yeah.
So it's got a SKD11 Sanmai blade with a mirror polish and desert ironwood scales. I really like it, and it is like 8 thou behind the edge, like stupid thin. So it's fun to cut with and use. As far as folders, though, I used to carry them quite a bit. I still have a few. But since I did the adventure craft, I haven't carried them very often at all. And I've gotten kind of weird with it. If I haven't gotten weird with everything else already. I have a PM2, and I love it. I have the Hogue Ritter RSK, and I like it quite a bit. I have a Half-Breed Blades MILF, and it's okay. The handle's more aggressive than I like. I really like the Half-Breed Blades large bush folder because it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's like a pound, and it's just fantastic and wonderful. And I have a Buck 804 Sprint. So it's a little liner lock knife with polymer scales, and it's on bearings in 420 HC. I bought that from the Gear Shack. And I'm going to make somebody kind of mad here. Probably shouldn't go into this on my first podcast with you guys, but I was reviewing a Hinder XM18 at the time. And then I got the Buck, and the Buck cut better, cut just as long, weighed like a tenth as much, and was just as much fun to play with on bearings. And then I gave the Hinder a not so good review because the edge was freaking thick. The edge was thicker than my Jackalope. The edge was as thick as a doggone Essie. It was like a 30 thou behind the edge. And I didn't enjoy using it. I enjoyed playing with it, but I didn't enjoy using it. And actually, so that Buck that really brought that to my attention and really honed that in for me is one of my favorite knives to carry now because it weighs almost nothing and it's fun to tinker with, and the edge geometry is good. I say it's one of my favorite folders to carry. So it's just practical. Like there's no Gucci factor. There's no like emotional thing. When I carry a folder, that's pretty much what it is. It's usually that or the PM2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I find myself carrying fixed blades as my EDC more often than not these days. I still carry. There's still a few folders that I carry and some slip joints from time to time, but 9 times out of 10, I'm carrying a fixed blade.
Well, like I keep my sheath personally to ride level with my pocket, and I yoink my knife out and I cut things. And then I put the knife straight back in. It's super easy because it's right there. And now a folder seems less convenient to me.
Yeah. And it's kind of a pain in the ass. You know, it can be depending on what you're doing. If it gets grimy and dirty, and if you're out there in it, then you're worrying about sand and dirt and shit getting all up in it. And with a fixed blade, you just don't have to think about it. And for me, I don't even have to worry. Like if I drop it, I drop it. If I
Right.
get it shit on it, then it just gets grimy.
Right.
It's a fixed blade. I don't have to baby it. I don't have to worry about it. I just use it, and it's that simple.
So I'm full-time YouTube and Knife Brand.
Yeah.
And so I could be in here cutting food in the kitchen for the boys while we're homeschooling or whatever. And then I could be in a creek swimming an hour later without having planned it because someone's like, hey, we got to go, whatever. I'm going to do a video where I just decided I'm going to go jump in a river because I do all this survival stuff. It hasn't been that way for about a year or two right now, to be honest. But, for my lifestyle, a fixed blade that's easy to carry has just been a game changer. Actually, and I don't only carry my knives. I mostly carry my adventure craft. I really do love this thing. I mean, it's 100% like I kind of feel naked without it. But I love my Very Good Knife Company Wasp. I got that maybe 2 years ago. I use it regularly. It's stained. It's dark. It's dull. Some people say it looks nasty. I love the knife, man.
I've never heard of them. I don't know what you're talking about. Very Good Knife Company. Never heard of them.
Yeah.
No, I love them, dude. Love them.
Yeah, super big fan. He blew me away with the price point. I think that I found him kind of early.
You did, I think.
And I was automatically like on board. Just amazing stuff. And by the way, Very Good. I need you at Georgia Bushcraft. So, let's see. Oh, my White River.
So there's 3 Jacobs on the screen here now.
All
right.
It's just I'm fucking surrounded by Jakes. But it's funny that you said you homeschool your kids. So does Jacob from Very Good Knife Company. It's a thing. Southern knife boys and homeschooling.
Absolutely. White River Knife and Tool, Ursus Cub and Magna Cut. Freaking love EDCing that thing. The sheath's a little bulkier, the handle scale's a little bulkier. Such a good thing knife. And I have a Survive Knives GSO 3.5 in CPM 20 CV. I don't EDC it as much because the sheath is bigger, but really love that knife as well. So I need to do a video lining up my small fixies and talking about them. But I'm mostly a fixie guy now, honestly.
Yeah, I'm becoming more and more of one. Pretty much fixed blades and slip joints. I still love my slip joints, mostly the modern slip joints more than the vintage traditional ones. But
you mean you don't make a living off of buying and selling collectible cases?
No.
But you can sell knives.
That's a whole thing in and of itself.
It is, and I have a love-hate relationship with case knives, and I've said it time and time again, and I've pissed off a lot of people by saying it, but they just put out some shitty stuff sometimes, and I just want them to do better. Just do better. I mean, they're never going to go anywhere. It's case. They've been around for 100 years. People love them. I love them, but at the same time, I hate them because it's an American company. It's the American Knife Company, them and Buck. And when they put out stuff that's just subpar, I just shake my head. And, I'm like, this is an American knife. You guys just do better.
They just released that Sasquatch Bowie maybe a year ago. I saw it in the table with the case knives. And I was like, is that a case? And I was like, that's freaking awful.
Yeah.
And so I'm right there with you. I like a little case peanut. I got my wife one in like a blue jigged camel bone. She throws it in the purse. It's cool. I'm on board. Yeah, case. They're weird. They're just doing their own complete thing, and it's weird. And I like some people that like cases, but I'm going to say, as a generalization, the case cult is pretty weird too.
Yeah,
More power to them.
Yeah, Darren. This comes up every week. I think every week on this show, I have to take a jab at Case. So it's one of those things.
I've honestly had pretty good luck overall with Case. Haven't been completely burned by them yet, so I'm still in the middle here.
I would say I haven't been burnt by a Case. I just have noticed a lot of the projects they've done. I've just thought it was weird. I thought their collab with Southern Grind was weird. I was excited that they were doing a more modern knife, and then when they released that, I was like, what is this? And the edge thickness is like 40 thou. Is this an axe? I don't understand. So just I haven't been burnt by them. I would say I'm middle of the ground. I'll probably buy a Case bird and trout knife. So I'm not a hater, but I'll definitely stand up and say you guys are doing some weird stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually check out their booth at Blade Show. I know they're going to have that PB&J scales, and you can hand pick them, so you know what you're going to get, which is cool.
Really?
And that makes a difference too.
Yeah, it's like this bone that has like this purple burnt area. It looks really cool. But yeah, I like the idea of being able to go pick one out and check it out.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. That's cool.
And I've heard a lot of people that.
I think we lost you, Tim.
He's frozen for me.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, for now, since we're on the topic of Blade Show, I think you're going to be at booth 13W.
That's right.
What's your plans for Blade Show? Is it your first one? What are you bringing?
I did Blade Show with Dry Creek Forge in probably 2016. I've been to every Blade Show since. Oh, sorry, Tim, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry. Don't know what happened.
No worries.
I've been to every Blade Show since, every Blade Show Atlanta since. Glad to hear it, Kelvin, as a YouTuber. This will be my first year for Exodus Knife and Tool. I am saving some Hidden Woodsman's collabs. I'm going to have the brick craft there. I'm going to be entering for a major award, which I hope to win. I am going to be giving away one of those Baker Forge billet adventure crafts, which is going to be huge. I'm also, so that knife, I'm going to be giving away 2 knives. I'm not exactly sure which is going to be which. Anybody who shows up to the show wearing any of my apparel from over the years will be entered to win a knife, and they won't have to be present to win in a raffle. The other knife will be for anyone who comes and scans my little, what do you call those little bricks? Those little blocks that you
QR
scan.
codes?
QR code. Anybody who comes and scans my QR code and follows the whatevers and the whatever, I'll give them a raffle ticket. But they will have to show up Saturday at a certain time and be present during the drawing to win. So if I call someone, call it twice, 3 times, I'll dump the ticket and pick another one if someone didn't show up, But I always have a pretty crazy table. Lots of barnwood and bones. Taylor Putnam actually just gave me this at Georgia Bushcraft that I'll probably have on. That's a whole doggone thing. Actually I've got my little display table right next to me. I'll usually have all kinds of bushcraft stuff. It's going to be set up as an old Kentucky general store. I am still planning on dressing as a late 1800s moonshiner.
Nice.
I'm going all out, man. And I'm also scheduling times with YouTubers and knife makers who are going there without a table to come to my booth. I'm going to advertise that so that their fans can find them at the show. I know I've tried to find people at the show before and been unsuccessful. So Sunday at 10, Eric from Outer Limitless is going to be at my table. I'm going to be advertising that. All of the people that want to go meet him, see what he's got, shake his hand, can come do that. I'm going to see how many people I can do that with. So I'm hoping to have a pretty busy table. and really engage with people a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool idea, and you and I are going to have to do that because I have hundreds of thousands of fans, and I'm never going to get a moment of peace if I don't schedule a meet and greet. So
is that YouTube or is that OnlyFans?
yeah,
Right.
both.
Yeah,
Both.
Exactly. How do you
No,
think he pays for all these knives?
yeah.
yeah.
No, I think that's an awesome idea. So I know you have a military background. Have you always been a knife guy? How did your love of knives develop? And then why YouTube? Like
So
what made you start a knife channel?
I think I was always a knife guy, but I was a knife guy in denial. I think it was 1996. I bought my first knife, was a Cold Steel True Flight thrower in 1055 high carbon, and I actually got a Blade Tech Kydex sheath custom made for it because I was in Tacoma, Washington, right by the original Blade Tech. They'd only existed for a couple years at that point. And we just walked up to their shop and gave them the knife, was like, make me a sheath. Throughout the military, I had knives and kept knives. Now with YouTube, however, someone asked me about the training classes. The training classes should run at least once a month. However, recently that has not been happening. I've got 86 acres to use out here in Mammoth Cave that's cliffs and waterfalls and craziness. And right now, there's fire tactics. I have a bushcraft 101. I'm going to have a Fallout themed, like 5-day adventure / survival class. That's going to be really interesting / show probably. But this year's just been crazy with everything going on, and it hasn't been as busy here because I haven't had time. So YouTube, I thought YouTube, it wasn't originally supposed to be knives. I ran, and I still do it, a custom rifle sling company. I designed a sling in Afghanistan and started making it, and people started buying it, and that started that way as Beach and Tactical. And so I was going to do a YouTube channel that was going to be all tactics, prepping, and firearms reviews. And it just started becoming knives instead. And then at a certain point, I was like, I've done 200 of my last 210 videos have been knife reviews. And then at the end, I'm like, come check out my website, Beach and Tactical, and there's no knives.
Yeah.
And people are like, you run a business? Like, what does this have to do with your YouTube channel? I'm addicted, man. I can't help it. I didn't admit it at the time, but I can't help it. So, but I started the YouTube channel to help people primarily. And what really got me was so much bad information and just, I don't think that you should tune into YouTube to watch a company's commercial. Commercials are supposed to be the things that they're forcing you to watch that you don't want to watch. Why am I going to watch your knife channel review if all you're doing is reading the manufacturer's marketing and showing me doing a couple things? You're just making a commercial. I don't watch commercials on my free time. And I was finding I couldn't find good info, or a lot of the info I was seeing, I knew from a fact and first-hand experience, especially the tactics and the guns, it was crap. Mm-hmm. Why are we listening to this? This is trash. So I have this crazy drive for objectivity and brutal truth. And that's why I didn't have a YouTube channel associated with the product really for so long, because I felt like that would get in the way of making honest content.
Yeah.
But I've never been paid to make a video. I've been offered, and I'm like, bro, how am I going to be honest? How are people going to believe I'm being honest, even if I am, if I got paid for the review?
Right. Yeah, we were having that discussion before you got on, Jake and I. There's this big misconception that knife reviewers are being paid by manufacturers, and maybe there are, but I don't know any.
I know some, and it's certain manufacturers, and it's more prevalent with channels that have management agencies attached. For instance, if you're Leviathan Group, you're getting paid and you're going to do what they tell you to do, more or less, right? I know Olight is paying out. I know, you know, a lot of your bigger Chinese companies are very aggressive with their marketing. That's why they exist. And if you have enough stuff, they will pay you.
Yeah.
But I would say it's not the standard, certainly. But nobody out here is making money off of ad revenue, though. I don't think.
Yeah.
Not real money. Not anything that justifies the amount of time and labor that we put into this. Everybody's like, oh, you got this product for free. You're paid off, blah, 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 blah. Well, bro, if all you have to do to get just drowned in free knives is make a YouTube channel and that makes you mad, like, why don't you have a YouTube channel? Because it's freaking work. I'll do a review for like friends and companies that I really like. I turn a lot of folks down, and I turn people that I like down. In fact, I don't got time for a review, man. Like, I'm like 20 knives behind right now.
Yeah.
So it's hard, it's convoluted, it's confusing, and the viewers don't know who's being paid or not being paid, or who got for free or didn't get it for free, and they're trying to figure out like who they can even believe and what reviews are giving actual information. I think that 98% of knife review channels don't know what behind the edge thickness is and have never mentioned it. It's hard, man. It's just overall, I think it's just a hard deal. And I feel like subscribers are frustrated because they don't know what's up. They don't know who to believe, and people aren't transparent with them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you have any tips for any new YouTubers? Any advice or anything you've learned along the way, maybe?
Machiavelli said that it's good to be loved and it's good to be feared, but never be hated. So, you know, with me, with my internal motivation for doing YouTube, I do a lot of content that is politically charged that will make people hate my channel and potentially never come back. That's bad for business. It doesn't make any monetary sense, really. And especially when you're stepping on the toes of the social media platform that you're using. I'll be talking more about that later, because I have a whole host of comments that will pop up on the YouTube app, but when you go to YouTube, they're not there. They don't exist. They never did exist, because our social medias, you get the reach that you are allowed to get. They are allowing you to have what you have. I get 10 comments per 100 views. That's not freaking organic. It will not always be trackable like that, right? So, you know, if someone wants to do YouTube and they want to be successful with it and maybe make some money or whatever, maybe avoid saying things that people will hate you for. You know, I really don't know, but I would just tell people, like, the only reason to do YouTube is because you can't not do YouTube. Because if you do YouTube to get free gear, or you do YouTube because you're into a product or something like that, you'll do it. You'll invest $10,000 or $20,000 of your time and labor and effort, and you'll stop doing it in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And it will just be something that never mattered.
Right.
You know, so like, you know, you have to like, if you can't live without doing a YouTube, like, do a YouTube.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd say I can't not say things to make people hate me. In fact, I started a whole nother channel where I could just spew bullshit and say things to make people hate me. So Yeah, I understand. I understand that.
You know, it works for some people. It worked for James Yeager. I was good friends with James Yeager, and he talked about how his haters made him the most money, you know. And I've seen a lot of trolls turn around and become big supporters. But I guess there's probably a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. But it's one of those things. Like, if you can't not do it, then freaking do it.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. First of all, everybody does it or at least starts doing it because we love it. And the other thing is, it takes a lot of work. There's a lot that goes into every video, every upload, especially if you're putting out stuff every single day. You know, it's a lot.
Well, and here's the thing, like, if you take anything that you love doing and try to make money doing it, it becomes work. And most things that you do, that'll kill the joy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I love going out and having an adventure. I hate going out and having an adventure and carrying a tripod and setting up stupid B-roll and filming myself do all of the things that I want to do, and I never get the right angle. The people that have good YouTube channels, by the way, that are visually pleasing and cinematic, either they're psychos with this crazy eyeball for, like, they just know it, which is like 1 in a billion. That's like NFL, NBA, or more likely they've got a camera guy or they've got a team and they can afford to do that. Like, if you see it and it looks good and all of the framing's right and the lighting is right and the cinematography is like on point, honestly, for me, that's the first like no-go for whether you or not you should trust the channel. Because again, you'll find, oh, this guy's not actually a YouTube channel. He's the marketing head of this massive conglomerate business that owns all these companies, the products that he's reviewing.
Yeah.
I did a big thing on that I won't even go into, and it just whatever.
Yeah, no, I think I saw that the other day. I think I know what you're talking about there.
You could be thinking of multiple things.
Yeah, I think so.
I've been around a long time, and I've run my mouth a lot. And I've run into a lot of bad people that deserve to have mouths ran at them. So, anyway.
Yeah, I would say if you're getting into YouTube, definitely don't get into it for the money.
No.
Yes, I'm making money off my channel now, but still spend a lot more than I make on the channel. And yeah, I got into YouTube because I wanted to get better at public speaking on video. Just chose something I was passionate about and started talking about it.
I tell you what, dude, like, it's like this. People think everything's simple. Nothing on this planet is simple. You can be a professional athlete and not make enough money in your sport. The world's strongest man in the strongman competition, they're not getting rich from winning the world's strongest man. They're literally killing themselves, and they might make $500,000 if they win the world's strongest man, but they invested $500,000 to get there. Even NBA, NFL, whatever, NBA, you sell your name and you start marketing and you start advertising and brand deals, and that's where the money comes from. It doesn't even come from the fact that you just dedicated your entire life to being a professional athlete. So, yeah, you're not going to make money on YouTube just through YouTube. I mean, you're not going to make enough money, some people, with the NBA just doing the NBA, unless you're at the absolute top or whatever. Someone else starting out on bushcraft resources and tips. I don't know, man. Like, get in the backyard and just start doing stuff. I've got some starting out videos, but I wouldn't like put myself as a good resource because I don't have good enough organization to make a perfect playlist to just knock it out of the park. Go on YouTube, type up how to make a feather stick. Especially if you go to my video, see what it takes. you can't replace the time and the repetitions and the learning. But with anything, especially firearms related, paying to take a class will save you money in your time. And especially with firearms, guys, if you try to learn it yourself, you will learn more bad habits that you would have to go pay to unlearn than you'll learn good habits. So there's something huge to be said about taking a class. Don't worry about taking a class with me. Essie, Randall's Adventure Training down in Alabama, they do great classes and they travel, right? And you'll meet great people. You have the time of your life. You'll learn so much in a short period of time. So it's hard. It's hard, you know.
Yeah.
There's so many bad sources out there aimed at people who are new at something, because the people that are new at something are the ones buying a bunch of stuff and figuring stuff out, and they haven't figured out that you're selling a scam yet. So it's also, you know, that whole informational sector is just rife with bad marketing, dishonest people, and ripoffs.
Right. Do you still cover prepping on your channel? I know your channel kind of tag has the prepper line on there, or is it more focused on the gear nowadays?
So it really depends, because on what you consider to be prepping. I'll do political videos, which I think are probably some of my most important prepping videos, given my background and what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to psyops and the control of the narrative and stuff. That stuff's more important than anything else that I could ever do on prepping. And people get mad and say, "I thought this was a prepping channel." Like, you don't see the logical bridge here. So again, to get away from the bushcraft deal, for me, besides the gear reviews and the knife reviews, it's all prepping. But I don't do a lot of your typical prepper style stuff. I avoid your fear porn. I've got a bug out bag video, and you'll hate it, because it'll tell you not to buy a bunch of stuff. It'll tell you all you don't want to hear about building a bug out bag. You know what I mean? But I would say the channel used to be the Preppers Bunker Outdoors. I would say the channel is still a prepping channel based on what I think is important for prepping. But it will never be a channel where I'm like, "Here's my 400th 5-gallon bucket of rice, guys. Make sure you get to 400 or you will die." You know. So I'll never fit the prepping genre. But the prepping genre just exists because of big companies moving product, and I'm not selling. You know, I don't know. I'm not. I sell my knives, but like, I advise people to buy other people's knives constantly, more than my own.
Right.
Like, go buy a Mora if you're just starting out and ruin it, and buy another Mora, and if you want to, ruin it. Get it for $8 on Amazon shipped when they go on sale. Buy 10 of them.
Yeah.
I don't care. Buy an Essie. I tell people to buy Essie all the time, or White River. You know, I don't want to sell people things. I don't want to be a salesman. I'll never market anything in any way that I think is any less than 100% honest and transparent. So I would never fit into the prepping genre, because the genre is marketing driven.
Yep.
And when you say prepping, people think buying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or they think those channels that every other video is that the world's ending next week, and make sure you're buying what you need for this disaster.
If you want to prep, go to tactical response and take the trifecta: fighting pistol, the fight, and immediate action medical. And then go down to Randall's Adventure Training and take their advanced bushcraft class. I don't think it should be called advanced. I think it should just be called bushcraft. Take the bushcraft class. and then link up with some homesteading guys and learn about homesteading. Those 3 things, that's your prepping. And your trifecta at tactical response, you're going to take you're going to take fighting pistol, you're going to learn how to run this stuff the right way, you're going to learn more about gear and why 90% of the stuff that everybody buys is crap the hard way when you see everybody's crap failing on the range constantly. Then you're going to take the fight where they're going to give you a Glock with some munitions. They're going to run you through specific drills in a building with instructors and other students, and you're going to be shooting each other and actually doing medical and tourniquets. And you're going to take immediate action medical probably before the fight. Immediate action medical is the military's TCCC, but done right by people who actually have a budget to train you and use good equipment, and who aren't just trying to get off at beer 30 and go bang somebody else's wife. They're actually there to train you, and they're paid to do it, and they want to do it. And they have a class full of students who want to learn because they came and paid to learn, right? So it's a completely different learning experience than the military. Like, that is prepping. Put $5,000 into that and stop buying the one knife that you will want when the world ends.
Yeah. No, I agree.
They can't take what's up here.
Right.
You know, so so the prepping thing, I don't know. It could be that I should have never gone with that in the first place. I didn't realize that there would be so much separation between what I did and believed and like what the genre expects. But as far, traditional prepping will never be my channel, but I think a lot of it ends up, it is what it is. It is too knife based to be a purely prepping channel, though. You know, today I was talking about the politics of survive knives. I told everybody 3 years before they closed down that Ontario was going to close down, pissed off the whole industry. And they were in talks of shutting down and selling at that time. It was just supposed to be a secret. Like I'm invested in this, and I'm really nosy, and I'm really good at paying attention to small details and connecting the dots. So I can't help it. Again, I'm here because I can't not be here. So, it's knife heavy to be a completely practical channel, but I would still say, at least 40% of it was probably prepping.
Yeah. Well, we are up against the clock. Do you want to promote anything before we sign off? You want to tell us when we can, or what's available and when we can expect the next ones to be available?
So I've got knives available now. I probably will right up until about Blade Show. I'll probably sell out. I'll have knives at Blade Show. I should be into knives from here on out, more or less, but a lot of them will be special edition runs and stuff like that will be a one-time deal. Man, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of YouTube channels. The Last Huntsman is a channel that I love.
Me too.
Heavy Set Tactical, John at Heavy Set Tactical, fantastic guy. Knife people that I love. We've got very good knife company here. Like dudes killing production knives with custom production knives. So I call companies that hand make knives, I call them custom knives, but they hand make a model, a bunch of them at a time. I call it custom production. It's not mid-tech. Jacob doesn't mid-tech knives. I call them custom production. The prices, he's freaking killing it, man. And the Kamangas that own White River, I mean, these are salt of the earth people, and with a real serious product. They are. The problem is every hobby that is run by enthusiasts and people with passion gets sold out to suits and businessmen. And so I want to give these shout outs to the people that are still like the legit hobbyists, the legit enthusiasts, and not just a stupid suit with a stupid channel.
Yeah. I love it.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, actually. Blade show's coming up quick.
Please stop by, try and win a knife.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, anyone in the chat that's going to be there, we'll try and meet up at that booth. So definitely looking forward to that. Thank you to everyone in the chat who joined, all the moderators. It looks like Illuminati Ninja was holding it down this week. Really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jacob. And Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacobs.